I want to thank Google, Wikipedia, and whoever invented copy and paste. The only warning I give to students is be careful. We have a software that can track exactly from which book you took a sentence out from if you try to copy. So it's really amazing technology. So much changes. Very difficult for everyone to keep with all these changes. Political, legal changes. Okay. The world is flat, getting more connected, globalized, digitalized. A lot of things happening. Sometimes what is happening can be very far, far away and can still have an impact. For example, when with the Ukraine, the problem in Ukraine, the Russians were hit by sanctions. And when the Russians were hit by sanctions, some businesses in Singapore also were affected. Just to show how connected the whole world is. Okay. And on the cultural, social front, a lot of changes. For example, youth, women, netizens. These are three of arguably the most important groups when we are talking about the future. Youth, women, netizens. And I feel quite sad because I don't belong to the first two groups. Okay. So cultural changes. Okay. Around 7,000 languages are spoken in the world. The top 12 account for more than half the world's population, including German, French, Spanish. Okay. An estimated 30 million people are currently studying Mandarin outside China. Okay. But guess what? Which Asian country today has the largest number of people who are proficient in English? Is it India? Or is it Philippines? Or is it China? Not today. They don't have the largest number of English speakers. But what is interesting is they will be the country with the world's biggest number of English speakers. Why? Because if you look at the number of Chinese people in China learning English, they are producing 20 million new English speakers every year. That will change the world. Soon, China will overtake the United States as having the biggest number of English speakers. So culturally, lots of changes. And if you happen to be in the area where you are providing programs in English, for example, I would think that this is a very big potential market to reach out to. Okay. Cultural changes. The Korean wave is really storming, taking so many countries, taking over so many countries. Whether it's the K-pop, whether it's the Korean movies, for example. So culturally, it is a very good strategy, in my view, a very good national strategy. This is what we call soft power. And soft is even more strong than hard power, quite often. Global trends, I'm just showing examples of global trends. And I love the theme of this forum, what's next? If we know that these are the global trends, what's next? What can we do? When we are talking about business opportunities, it can come about because we develop a very good product. But very often, business opportunities arises from the trends that we analyze and from where we spot the business opportunities. So I've given you some examples about that. So allow me to use another example, but before that, so Sun Tzu always say, If you want to be successful, you need to know not only your enemy, yourself, but you also need to know the terrain and the weather. You need to know what is happening around you. It is important to know what are the global trends, what are the changes in the environment, which this framework can help us to analyze some of them. Okay. Because if you don't, it could be problematic if we do not appreciate what are the trends. And that's why I love this theme here, know your trends, know your future. There are 5 types of companies. Those which make things happen. A second category, those who think they make things happen. A third category, those who watch things happen. Fourth category, those who wonder what happened. Okay. And the last category, probably not being able to survive, those who did not know anything had happened. So I want to congratulate all of you for taking your time and effort to come for this forum, not so much to learn from me, but to learn from our experts who are going to speak this afternoon and tomorrow, because you will get to learn a lot from them. Okay. So if we see these are the global trends, our question is, what's next? So please allow me to use as an example about from Singapore. Okay. So one thing which we always say is, it is always important to take an outside-in perspective. Look at what is happening outside. Ask ourselves, can we come up with products, can we come up with services that matches the changes that are happening outside? And this quotation, again from Jack Welch, he's really a great CEO. So he said, think in terms of fundamental changes with respect to the world outside. Look at what are the trends outside. So if you allow me to use Singapore just as an example, what's next? Same thing. Singapore is actually extremely small. And by the way, NTU is my university. If you land in Changi Airport and if you come to visit my university, you would have seen the whole country. And the whole country from left to right is 50 kilometers. 50 kilometers. So there's no domestic flight. Okay. And small country, so total population, citizens and permanent residents is less than 4 million. And it used to be a very, very poor country, used to be. So 70% live in very shacks and all this. Okay. Unemployment was very, very high. GDP was only 516 per capita. So this is the kind of housing most Singaporeans live in. But it has done quite well. And if we look at what are the changes, what makes all these changes, is if I share this framework, it's not from my book, it's from a book called Crisis and Renewal, written by somebody called David Hurst. So what he's arguing is that whether it is a country, whether it is an organization, whether it is a business, we must always drive ourselves through the sustainability loop. We must always be changing according to the changes in the environment. So just an example, yesterday, not too long ago, if you look at the changes the country went through, so this will be an example that businesses can apply, that we continuously change. So yesterday, or not too long ago, these were the main areas of businesses. Today, in addition to these main areas, new areas are identified. new areas. But why these new areas? So these new areas take into account, looking from an outside-in perspective, the changes in the environment. So why biomedical sciences? Okay. It's an aging society. Okay. Why environmental and water technologies? The world will be facing a water scarcity. Energy will be short. And why interactive and digital media? Digitalization is the way forward. It's already happening. So I'm just using as an example about the need for being innovative and entrepreneurial to meet with changes in the environment. So the next question is this. Having looked at the global trends, what's next? And how do we do it? So here I will look at the how. And in order to look at the how, so there are 9 elements which to us are very important. If you love what I'm going to tell you, all credit goes to my Indonesian co-author. To me, he's brilliant. If you don't love it, it's only because I failed to deliver this or explain this properly. So what he's saying is that in any business that we do, if we want to be a market leader, and we should try to be a market leader in any area that we do, any business that we do, we must try to capture the mind share of the customer, the market share, as well as the customer's heart share. So very important. How do we capture the mind share of the customer? We must have a very clear positioning. In the minds of our potential customers, they must know who we are, what we are good at. We don't need the whole world to know us, but we need our target customers to know us. So how do we capture, how do we maximize the opportunity in the future? So think very carefully in any business that you are in. What is your positioning? Do your customers know who you are, what you are really good at? As I mentioned, you don't need the whole world to know you. If the whole world knows you, it's a bonus. There are a lot of businesses, business to business, that people may not know. So for example, just now I was talking to Kun Tin, one of his professors from Babson College, is a co-founder of Jiffy Lube. You may not know about it because they deal with lubricants. But the most important that if the customers who buy this product has got to know them. If they don't know them, they are not the market leader. So very importantly is in the business that you do, I will urge you to think about it. Ask your customers when you finish, when you go back after the forum. Ask them, do they know who you are, what you are good at? What is your positioning? To be a market leader, we must have a very, very clear positioning. So just an example, if I were to use business schools as an example. And to me, I always believe that one of the failings of entrepreneurs is we try to do everything. We try to be good in everything. We try to be best in everything to our customers. We cannot. We cannot. We try to be good, but we have to identify 1 or 2 areas we can be outstanding in. So please don't try to be good to everybody. We have to have a very clear target market. We have to have a very clear positioning. Harvard Business School is very famous, but Harvard Business School cannot claim they are good in every area of business. When we talk about management and leadership, in my opinion, arguably, the best business school is Harvard. But when we talk about entrepreneurship, it's not Harvard, it's Babson. And it was an honor to meet Kun Tin because he's an alumnus from Babson College. So you can see he's very successful, very enterprising. An enterprising mindset is an asset for life. And for the last 20 years, Pepsi has been rated number 1. Their focus is on entrepreneurship. Doesn't matter if the whole world doesn't know them, but those who want to do entrepreneurship will know them. And if we talk about hotel management, apart from the Swiss schools, perhaps Cornell. So these are just examples to show that if we want to be a market leader, identify an area of opportunity, establish our position. We must have a clear position, and our position must not be one that tries to be the best in everything. And if we talk about economics, if you want to go to the best schools in economics, you will not go to Harvard. In fact, it is questionable whether Harvard has a school of economics. You will probably go to the University of Chicago, maybe London School of Economics as well. University of Chicago has more than 20 over Nobel Prize winners in economics. In the whole of Asia, there's only one. Whole of Asia, Amartya Sen. That university has 20 over. No other university has that number. So bear that in mind. Identify the opportunity from the changing trends, and then the how is to really establish our clear positioning. And when it's marketing, arguably the best is Kellogg. And of course, you will be delighted to know that your Deputy Prime Minister is an alumnus of Kellogg. And Philip Kotler comes from Kellogg as well. So I met Kum Songkit about 7-8 years ago when Philip Kotler was celebrating his 75th birthday. So great school, great school. Possibly, arguably, finance may be Wharton. So as mentioned, no one school claims to be best in all these areas. So when you want to establish your positioning, think about the one or two areas that you are really, really outstanding in. Good in other things, but outstanding in one or two. Don't try to be outstanding in everything. The market will not believe you. Even when we want to buy a car, for example, people who want to buy a car, in their mind, there may be some criteria they look at. For example, some people may want to look for speed as the most important. If money is not an issue, perhaps you want to buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, if it's speed you are looking for. But if it's safety, which brand will you look for? Probably, for safety, probably a Volvo. Clear positioning. Okay. So, as I mentioned, if you want to be a market leader, think about your positioning. Okay. Think about your segmentation, targeting, positioning. Think about these other areas. Your positioning must be related to your target market. A lot of young entrepreneurs ask this question, I'm into online business. Does it matter? It's only for traditional businesses. No. Even for online businesses, you also have to have a clear target market. Not everybody will want to have your product. Not everybody. So you need to be clear to position to your target. And how do you define your target? You segment the market. Business schools, hotel management, marketing, entrepreneurship, management leadership, economics, you can use this basis to segment. Cars may use safety, speed, luxury, fuel economy. And arguably one of the most, if we are talking about cars, right? If we talk about one of the most environmentally friendly cars, or people know, always feel, which one is that? Which brand for environmentally friendly cars? Arguably, Toyota Prius. It's the only car that is allowed to drive into the city center of London without paying a CBD charge, because the mayor of London deems it to be the most environmentally friendly car. And we must support our positioning with differentiation. If Volvo were to say that they are the safest car, how is it different from other cars? No other car company will say their car is not safe. So you've got to differentiate. If Harvard Business School were to say they are the best for management and leadership, Every business school will try to be the best in management and leadership. How do they differentiate? They come up with the Harvard business cases used by most business schools. They come up with a Harvard Business Review that CEOs would like to keep in their office, whether or not they have time to read it. So you must support your positioning with differentiation. And to be a market leader, you have to be different. By definition, if you are not different, if you are the same as everybody else, how can you be a leader? There's only one leader. So how do we differentiate? We can use our product, price, place, promotion to differentiate. Just an example. How would you differentiate a thumb drive to attract customers to buy? Of course, wow, 500 gigabyte thumb drive. No such product in the market yet. But this, I just show as an example, one entrepreneur came out with this. How do you attract your customers to buy? He's different. His thumb drive is different. Iron Man thumb drive. Wow, that is different. That is enterprising. That is innovative. So think about ways to differentiate. So even the MRT stations, and here I'm referring to the ones in Stockholm, in Sweden. When you see the MRT stations, you will remember, because you will say it's different. How are they different? Different stations. So really quite different. If I were to visit Stockholm, I will remember it. So in any case, if you are already building one, by the way, when you come to Singapore, you won't find something that looks so beautiful. Okay.